For the first time ever in D&B full band history, the band closed out an encore with Bartender. The band's not playing around this year, and the Chicago show is a perfect example of them being back on their bull. They're riding the waves and expanding the catalog unlike ever before. The D&B post-show stream starts now. Here's audio from tonight's opener. Download that SiriusXM radio app.
For
going to get started real soon.
It's your boy Concert Viz 34 back at home.
What up, what up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34.
Yep, so your boy Concert Viz 34 coming to you here.
What up, what up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Arya. Okay, so this is Arya, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your love for the Dave Matthews Band.
I've been a fan of the band since April 28, 1998, and if you recognize the date, that's when Before These Crowded Streets was released.
Alpine is definitely a better venue than Summerfest, but we'll take it. I think I've been going to shows for about 20-something years.
I always tell people, like, compare DMB to now to when I first started. And I got started, in my opinion, I feel like I got started late. Like, I was at the very end of the band's prime. I feel like that 03 to 06 was like the end of the prime. 07, 08 was like, you know, we're at the very end. And then when Roy passed.
But Dave really, this is the thing. Dave has put, Rashawn has been assigned the quarterback of this team. He is the coach, the play caller. He designs the jams. Dave just shows up and plays whatever he's going to play. And you say Shy City now. Shout out Evanston, Illinois. Shout out to the Navy base out there. Rockford, stand up. Waukegan, stand up. Aurora, stand up. Gary, Indiana, shout out to y'all. Shout out to the Metro. Northwestern, what up? Shout out to DePaul basketball. Y'all trash, but y'all always dedicated to losing. Shout out to the White Sox. Shout out to the Cubs' cheap owners. Shout out to the Dan Ryan Expressway with 6 lanes across. Had to go across 5 of them to get to the exit to see the White Sox a couple years ago. I was so dang lucky to make it. What up, what up? It's your boy Conserviz34, and these boys have something to say every night for this tour. Other night, the NBA draft happened, and there were some stories of misfortune, a series of unfortunate events. There's a St. John's guard, right? And he was the Big East player of the year, okay? Big East player of the year, right? RJ Luis Jr. They have a great regular season. They beat up on my UConn Huskies. Why am I saying this? Because RJ Luis Jr. had a bad tournament game versus Arkansas. Things fell apart. Then he said he got some bad advice and said, you know what? I'm going to transfer from St. John's and put myself eligible for the draft. And then the NBA draft came and he wasn't even drafted. So now he's stuck undrafted, pretty much has to go to Europe. Now, you think about that horrible story. This set list is the exact opposite of that horrible story. And I just want to take a shot at it as St. John's player. This set list has something for everybody. It has some things that give you comfortable. This is what D&B's doing this year. A 41 opener and a Billy's closer. But other than that, this thing was unpredictable. And even when there were things you thought you knew, it was something else. Dave said before the Loving Rings Liberation, this is a tiny little song, right? And, you know, he says that at shows pretty often. But that tiny little song was the ultimate tribute to the late Ian Coon, who lived in Chicago, from what Dave said, and requested this song as he was ill in his last days and weeks of life. And Dave played it for him in Mexico. We'll close out the show with that performance. You have a One Sweet World, but you know what you have? You have a brief, about 10 to 15 seconds. I have to time it for sure tomorrow morning, of Dave playing the One Street World instrumental, which he also was testing out in Mexico. You have hit songs like You and Me and Every Day, which people go and they want those songs. That was at their wedding. That was a song that lifted their spirits, the darkest place of their life. But he still surrounds those songs with songs deep cut lovers love, like Billy's, ABI, Dreaming Tree, Drunken Soldier. This band has perfected giving something for everyone to walk away with, while still giving people who are traveling to multi-city runs on this tour. What they're in Chicago now. They'll be at Deer Creek coming up, right? Maybe they'll catch some shows this week. Oh wait, this week's the 4th, so they'll be off, right? But maybe they call Atlanta, right? And if you went to Atlanta and you decided, hey, it's the weekend, I live in Atlanta, I'm going to go to Alpharetta, then I'm going to fly out to Chi-Town. You have 0 repeats from that one night stand in Atlanta. 0. This is unprecedented. And I believe we want so much for this band. Trust me. You know me. I want a 41 sax solo. Right? People want the violin to come back. They want the band to go back in the studio. We want a new album. Now, I know some of you guys don't. But after tonight's show, the conclusion I've come to is let's just let this band do what they're inspired to do. Because what they've been inspired to do for this tour, whether it's in memory of Ian, whether it's just a motivation to just do some things to mix it up in ways they typically don't mix it up. Whatever they have, Dave and the system and whoever's communicating things, right? Maybe Rodrigo is giving them ideas because he's been an influence. Maybe Rob is giving them ideas. We found out on the Pod That Jane Likes podcast that he was the reason that Let You Down came back. A fan talked about it. He then told Dave, hey man, like pretty much, hey, if you a real one, you're gonna play this song. Why haven't you played the song? And then Dave played it. Regardless of what is happening, we let this band do what they want to do. Because right now, what they are doing is the closest they're gonna come to feeding everybody that comes. From the lady who yelled out "Shake Me Like a Monkey" during the closer spot, which please don't yell out stuff. Dave does not care if you yell out stuff. But for people who want that type of thing to close out a show, well, they got you songs similar to that, right? Not in the encore, but they played those. And for those who were chasing songs like Love and Wings, you got those too. All right, let's get out to our first interview. And we're going to have a couple people on here for tonight. But I want to get Connor on, and then I got Aaron just kind of waiting. We'll talk to him next. So we're going to get Connor set up here. We're just going to unmute him and get him on the screen. Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing really good tonight, Marcus. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So it's no surprise you have told me this. And many other fans have told me this. Northerly Island is a venue that people don't like locally who live in Illinois like you, but you go because this is the only show within a very close proximity. Before the set list even hit tonight, what was your mindset going into this show?
Well, I will say it's nice sleeping in my bed after a Dave Matthews Band show and not having to pay for a hotel. So I was really excited to have the opportunity to be able to go home. But let's talk about the show a bit. The beginning of the show, the first few songs up until I like 41, Minarets, One Sweet World, all of those songs at the beginning, that was very Northerly Island-esque. And the times I've seen them there, I just thought, oh, they're going to follow the same trend of playing a lot more popular songs, for the casual fan base that goes to Northerly Island. But when they turned to Loving Wings, like a switch was flipped and just a bunch of deep cuts and all these bangers, Dreaming Tree, Drunken Soldier, Bartender as the closer. I mean, that second half of that show was absolutely mind-blowing. And the first half was great as well. They played all really good songs, but definitely, in my opinion, the best set list that this band has ever done at Northerly Island here in Chicago, Illinois, by far.
And as far as that casual fan base, is that just because, Alpine has more diehards traveling and Chicago is just more of a major city? Is that, you think that's why you get more casual fans
I
there?
I definitely do. Like, a lot of the hardcore fans travel to Alpine because it is a major, everyone goes to Alpine Valley. And a lot of people I've talked to today, they're like, yeah, we come and see Dave here every time. And then they only go to the Chicago, Illinois show. So they're not even, a lot of these people don't even take the drive up to Wisconsin. They just skip Dave for that year. And keep it to Northerly Island. So I definitely feel like that casual group, they're not going to know songs like Loving Wings, Peace on Earth, Baby Blue, and etc.
I want to go back in this set list to One Sweet World. When Dave started playing the instrumental intro, what was your reaction?
I thought it was really cool. Ever since Mexico, I've been telling people personally that yeah, they're going to bring instrumental One Sweet World back. And when they haven't played once, I believe this was the tour debut tonight, full band, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was. Yep, this is the first.
Okay, cool. So my prediction is Dave was testing out the intro to instrumental, and I think in Deer Creek or at SPAC, one of the bigger venues, we're going to hear that full instrumental intro to One Sweet World full band. I think that's just bound to happen, especially after them doing it in Mexico and here tonight.
Yeah, and Mexico has been a testing ground, busted stuff, and some other things over the years. Started out in Mexico and then made their way full band. So it is always a sign that maybe not everything gets to the full band, but some things get over there. Um, what was the crowd reaction to that One Sweet World instrumental? Did anyone catch it? Did you hear cheers? Were they quiet?
Not a lot of people really did hear it. Right when the main guitar riff started is when the crowd pops to that song. So it didn't feel like a lot of people knew what instrumental intro was, which was surprising to me. Because especially since a lot of old intros of that song, Dave would use those same guitar riffs.
Right. What was the loudest crowd pop of this show?
It's really hard to tell because the venue is flat, so it's really hard to hear the crowd's reactions to music. But again, I mean, word up, that is a fan favorite, and that's not going away anytime soon. Billy's got a pretty good pop, and the 41 opener did as well.
And word up, the only cover tonight, we've seen some shows of recent kind of just having about two or so, if not more. So kind of that's it. No encore covers, no even main set closer covers, just word up, in and out, and everything else DMB. What was your favorite song on the night?
It's really hard to tell because we got so many bangers. I gotta say, Dreaming Tree though, the bartender closer was awesome, and it was a really good iteration of that song. But I've been kind of chasing Dreaming Tree since I heard it the first time at Alpine Valley in 2022, and it's been 3 years since I've gotten that song. So my song of the night's probably Dreaming Tree.
All right. And as far as the poster, did it sell out tonight? Did you check or?
No, there were still posters available after the show tonight, which was kind of shocking to me. I really liked the poster because, as a lot of people know, Mazza's my favorite artist.
Mhm.
But there were still both weekend posters and show posters available.
I just like you said, you were shocked for this one. I was shocked when the Owen Murphy poster in Atlanta. Still, there was still some left after the show. Perhaps maybe there just aren't as many poster fans. I feel like both of the last two posters have had audiences of they had both of these artists have a following where these last two posters I was like, oh, okay, they're probably gonna sell out, but apparently they haven't. So just sometimes that happens. And again, I'm sure if this was at an Alpine or Deer Creek, as as those are the venues you frequent, I'm sure it sells out because you get more traveling fans.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean that Owen Murphy poster for Alpharetta was gorgeous. Another really good poster that didn't sell out. I don't know if any of the shows I've been to this year at the poster sell out. I know the St. Louis poster didn't sell out. That was a hunk of trash. That'll be on the warehouse forever. But I don't think Riverbend or Blossom sold out either, and I really liked those as well. I believe, and just like in 2023, they're going to have tonight's poster available for sale tomorrow.
Oh yes, yes, I do remember. If I was maybe I was interviewing you or someone. One of you guys posted
I
from
remember. I
Chicago.
remember telling you that too. That they had the night one poster for sale. The
Night two.
second show.
Yeah, we'll see. And I will say though as well, you may see it because I know you're big on collecting. It's a tough market right now to sell posters. There's just not a lot of buzz. That the pandemic brought out a lot of money from people who had saved. They didn't go to any sort of shows or vacations for the pandemic. They came out of it and people were outbidding each other for posters that typically didn't go like that. So I think the poster market is dying down a bit. I think obviously when we get to some of these bigger stops coming up, that maybe we'll see some trading, some buying, but it's just not what it was a couple years ago when people had more money and when before some things just financially got more expensive.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I personally think that unless if it's a Sperry or something just completely outrageous, we're not going to be seeing people spending $1,000 on a poster. Even like the Slater of the weekend poster, I feel like its peak will be like $110 just because of how the market is fading out at the moment.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, like you, poster collector, other fans who like posters, you may not have to worry as much. Or if something does sell out, especially these gorge marked up, some venues mark up their posters, you'll have a better time to wait it out and then let the market die. I think it's best. I think the best thing is if everyone who wants the art can get it, like you got your Mazda tonight, and other people, I'm sure just coming Saturday who love the weekend poster, they'll be able to snag that without as much stress as if it's 2021. Hey, Connor, thanks for coming on. We'll definitely try to check in with you tomorrow as well.
Yeah, for sure. I should be good to talk tomorrow. Thanks for having me on.
All right, take care.
Have a good night.
Yeah. All right, so that was Connor F. We want to thank him for coming on. I'm going to do a couple of things here. And then we will go ahead and get our next guest on. But thank you guys for coming into the post-show stream. I wanted to get some graphics and wanted to get some stuff here. Let me also just check the chat. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Let's see what people are saying. All right, so Joe gets awesome show tonight. Chris says, man, I wish you could catch them playing every day. Okay, so what else? Okay, song times are up. Thank you to Zach. All right, so here we go. We can look at some song times here. 41 at 7:03. I will say this. I like 41 being shorter, and here's my kind of reason why. If you're not going to have a sax solo on it, I like the electric guitar solo being first and the trumpet being second, and they're getting less than 32 measures or 32 bars a piece. For the ones I've kind of been listening and timing them, and I think it's better because the reason that a 41 should be longer is if you have a sax solo or you have a violin turning up. So as much as I'm like, listen, I don't need to, like, I'm not trying to say this band needs a violin or they need to do it a certain way. I just like that they're deciding for now 41 will be shorter. And it gives more time. And the other thing I'll say as I'm setting some things up here, I think one of the great things about this show, from my personal perspective, again, just my perspective, this show, the long form songs are perfect. Dreaming Tree, you could say ABI, American Baby Intro. Every Day is not my favorite, but that gets the casual fans happy. You want people to go home happy. When I think of things, this is just, again, my opinion, Crush, being 16 minutes, that's way too long. And that takes too much time away. So Crush being too long, Jimmy Thing being and these are songs that people like and I get it, they're fan favorites, but they're too long. Play Every Day, Get In and Get Out. It's 7 minutes 58 seconds, and it gets people going. It gives people, they love the buddy now, right? So I like that this show, Dreaming Tree, passes 10 minutes. Nancy's is 11 minutes. Everything else is under 10 minutes. And again, this is based on the current format of this amazing band doing great things. I think this show nails the length of the jams, the length of how long things should be. When you get a spaceman and they're trying to do a little thing with a trumpet and all that stuff, it doesn't, you kind of lose the purpose of going longer. And in the prime of this band, they didn't have songs typically going over 13, 14 minutes, if that. Right? If you think about that. And so I think that's a great thing to look at. Some things are going to be spread out. But I think that this show is it's just, I love how, and again, I'm going to see Goose on Sunday. They'll probably do a long jam, but that's Goose. That's what they do. They're a jam band. D&B is not a jam band. They're a band that has great songs, and then when appropriate, certain songs like Dreaming Tree are extended out. Nancy's is extended out, and it's great. Loving Wings, my Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, Son of Man, Heavenly Father, wow. And Aaron, thank you for holding on. I'm going to get you on. You're good. You don't have to do anything. I'm just trying to get things set up here. But can we just talk about how that song, you could tell they were practicing that song. Not that, and listen, when they have a song and they make a couple mistakes, I could care less. Oh, he missed the verse. I don't care. They're attempting song. When this band goes out of their way to attempt songs, and sometimes it's rough, I don't care. They've struggled on Blackjack a little bit. I don't care. I'd rather have Blackjack than what? The 15th When the World Ends? Even though this tour, they're actually cutting it back. But like, you know what I mean? Like just in comparison, do you want another Watchtower closer? Or do you want another Crush for the seventh time in the last 2 months? I'm exaggerating. I don't mind when this band makes mistakes trying something new. As a musician myself, I know how hard this is. What they do is hard, to play different sets every night. As much as you say, oh yeah, this is what they're supposed to do. Like, it's hard. So if they make a mistake, I am not someone, Dave's guitar strings are a little flat, right? Well, Sean missed his cue for the high notes. Like, I'm not like that. Like, no. But they nailed this Loving Wings. They absolutely had it on point. And my conjecture is that they said, this is in memory of Ian, and we're going to get this thing right. We're not going to bring it out until it's ready and we can master it. It was beautiful. And for the same reasons that I think Crush could use some improvement on some of the soloing and the outros, Loving Wings is a perfect song to showcase Jeff and Rashawn. They sounded great on that song. And so that's why I love certain things. Sometimes the band will only do something once, like the Captain reprise. And I'm like, this is amazing. And so I'm always cheering for things like that. All right, we're going to get Aaron on. I'm almost ready. We're like 15 seconds. I'm just going to get him set up. And I appreciate his patience. It is 12:10 Central Time, 1:10 Eastern where I am. And I appreciate his patience to come on. All right, let's go ahead and bring Aaron on. Aaron, how you doing?
Great, Marcus. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Awesome.
So tell us about this show. What was your experience tonight?
Well, I hate to be one of the people that always has just nothing good to say, but I really have nothing good to say. I had such a good time. I've been chasing Dreaming Tree for a couple of years now, and to see it tonight out of the blue, completely unexpected in the middle of the set, that was fantastic. And I'm sure you saw, I messaged you that the opener was also fantastic. There's some kinds of openers that you can get that are like, wow, this is amazing. And tonight, that was one of those. I can't wait to see what they do tomorrow because tonight was such a good time.
And that's awesome that you caught the Dreaming Tree for the first time. It sounded great on Sirius XM, so I only can imagine feeling that song, seeing Dave there on stage. Where were you tonight in the venue?
We were at the back of the reserved seating, so not the best seats, but not the worst. And interestingly, I've heard such terrible things about the venue. Like, don't go if you're on the lawn; it's not even worth it. So I ended up getting some last minute, like they call it pavilion, but there is no pavilion seats. And it was cool to not have to fight for a spot on the lawn because I have done that so many times.
Yeah.
But I think no matter where you were, like it was probably a great time. And the lawn did not go back like many, many miles, like people say. Like I really think if you were there, you probably had a great time tonight.
All right. And what would you say? We asked Connor this. What was like the loudest crowd roar or pop?
I think the 41 opener was really awesome for everybody because that's a song that everyone knows. And everyone who was there was like, okay, it's happening. It's time. Like we started to hear the cheering when the band came out. We were still kind of messing around with the merch booth and trying to get our posters and our shirts. But we heard people start to get excited. And then 41 started and it's like, chef's kiss, amazing start. Let's see what the rest of the night has to hold.
Yeah. So they start off 41 Minaret's One Sweet World. They give you this year. The biggest thing I'm seeing is the first couple of songs typically, especially the first three, are not from like the big whiskey to present era, the post Roy era. They're giving you some old school stuff to start. And then
Well, and I wish you could have been here because I feel like I hear you say all the time that the One Sweet World nature intro needs to come back. And we started to hear it. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And my friends were like, he's freaking out. So something cool must be happening. And they did it for like 8 bars and it was cool. And then they just went into the song and it's like, all right, when are we going to get the real thing for like 5 whole minutes of like intro into One Sweet World? Because that would be amazing. Everyone would love that.
yes, I heard it on Sirius XM radio, and
Yeah.
I was, even though it got cut pretty quickly, like you said, about 8 bars or so, I still was happy that he attempted it. Just like I was
Me
talking
too.
about
Me
as I
too.
was setting you up, I'd rather them mess something up and attempt it than not play it at all. And so
Yeah.
I admire that. I'm sure someone has felt like it was the biggest tease because they're like, oh, I just need like just 15, 20 more seconds. Doesn't have to be the full, just give me another 20 seconds. And
Yeah.
but I just was so happy to see that. And it just gives you that hope that even if you're not at that show, that somebody is going to get at some point, if they keep working on this. Dave really very hard parts. If anyone's at home not a guitar player, Dave kind of just did it in his sleep. I think when he was at the prime of his career, and to relearn something, there are songs I've written, poems and musical composition stuff. Nothing crazy, but I go back and try to relearn it, and I'm like, what was I doing here? And so I think that's just one of those things where Dave is like, I used to just do this on command, and I got to kind
Yeah.
of relearn it. As he did Busted stuff, he relearned it in a different guitar tuning, standard tuning. And so I'm cheering for him, and I'm giving him grace. Dave, if you're watching, we don't care if you mess up a couple notes. we're all for supporting you. We're cheering you on to get it right. What are some
Absolutely
what
not.
what are some other things as far as we have, throughout this set list that kind of made this a perfect night for you?
Well, I thought it was kind of the perfect mix of things that again, I don't want to be the guy who comes on and says like everything they play, the whole show, it's amazing. And that is true. I think they do a great job. They're an amazing band, but I'm not here for all of the tiny quiet songs. It's not my favorite thing, but I thought the set list was a really perfect mix of old songs, new songs, songs that get people excited, and songs that are just kind of fun to listen to, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's in some parts it feels like red light, green light when I was listening to the show,
Yeah.
because you know, you have so much to say. Then you have Word Up, and then you have a brand new song, Peace on Earth. Then you have Kill the Preacher, Why I Am, which is kind of one of those things they just kind of blaze through quickly. Then you
Yeah.
have an almost 11-minute Dreaming Tree. And right
Yeah.
after that, you have this to me is the last big radio single they have. Not that they don't have good music post Big Whiskey, but the last radio single that it was Grammy nominated, played at the Grammys. DMB has not played at the Grammys since this. The full band, right? Not just, Dave has probably hopped in for a tribute,
Yeah.
but You and Me is played. So they go from that, from You and Me, this song at everyone's wedding, to Drunken Soldier. And then they go,
It's a fan favorite. Everyone who hears Drunken Soldier says, I like that song. Who is that band? And the fans of the band say, another great song in the catalog.
yeah,
Like even in the later era. Like it's a great song to add that complements the whole thing. And the entire set list just makes me think, I had such a great time tonight. I can't wait to see what they do tomorrow. And I don't again, maybe a little overly critical, but it was a great time tonight, and I think it's going to be amazing tomorrow. I would love for this to be the time, the day, the show that the band comes to life and the tour really like becomes exciting.
I hope so too, because we know July is that, to me, is the best month in my opinion to see the band. The other thing, if you're watching at home, to keep in mind, this is just me and my theory. They've been down south, which, by the way, the Birmingham show tonight at that new venue was postponed. They had some bad storms come in, and it was Def Leppard Def Leppard was in a delay last night, and tonight, I got this alert here. Due to severe weather, tonight's show, Thomas Rhett, has been postponed till October 9th. So you had
Oh,
some bad storms in Atlanta. Atlanta got torched today again. But you have hot shows, Charleston and Birmingham and Alpharetta, and that affects the band. That humidity and heat, we saw Dave break strings. You go from that to, what was it, in the upper 70s by showtime? What would you say the weather was like?
it felt great here tonight. Like being at Riverbend 2 weekends ago,
Yeah,
tonight was totally different. You could absolutely feel all of the wind from the lake,
yeah,
and it felt like 75 ish, maybe 80
hmm
come 7:30 showtime. And it was just like the vibe was awesome. It was so cool. You weren't sweating more than you could imagine. It was it was just a really cool place to be. And you could feel the breeze and go, I love this song and I love the breeze and this feels great. And you can only imagine that Dave was thinking the same thing too. And all the band members on stage.
yeah. That's why I love going to these shows in what in the winter. Some of the best show venues are getting snow and wind and ice. but like to go to Alpine, Chicago this year, obviously, to go to Saratoga Springs, and just even when there is Mansfield, Hartford, it can be humid there sometimes. Just like,
Yeah.
Detroit, DTE, just outside of Detroit Metro, or so Pine Knob now, not DTE, it's Pine. I went back to Pine Knob. It can get hot. Make no mistake about it. But these shows in the northern parts of the United States, the Midwest and Northeast, when you get a night like tonight in Chicago, you can't beat it.
It was perfect. It really
You
was
can't
perfect.
beat it. I know Charleston has its charm, but it's hot. And I know Alpharetta, Birmingham doesn't have a roof, right? And you're baking out there. And again, great shows. They still played great.
Yeah.
But I only can think that the weather being as good as it was for you tonight, as it can be for an Alpine or for a Mansfield, a SPAC. Sometimes even you get up to Blossom. I think this year was raining, but Blossom, if it is 75 out, 70 degrees,
Yeah.
that makes it easier for the band, especially as they get older in age. Any other final thoughts here before I let you go?
Yeah. I do want to say I've heard that the lawn here at Northerly Island is so bad, don't even go. And after seeing it for myself and being a person who goes and enjoys many shows on the lawn, that's not true. It's perfectly fine. It's not as good as Deer Creek. Deer Creek is the best, as far as I'm concerned, in the Midwest when it comes to like a lawn venue. But don't let anything deter you from going to see Dave Matthews or anyone else in Chicago. It was a good venue. We had a great time. And yeah, great venue, great night. Can't wait to see what happens tomorrow.
All right. Well, thanks, Aaron, for coming on, and get some sleep. We hope you enjoy tomorrow's show. Take care.
For sure. Thanks, Marcus.
All right. Bye. All right. So we want to thank him for coming on. Let me just get everything out so that. Yep, he's good. Okay, so he's good. You won't hear any audio. He left, but I appreciate Connor. And if you want to come on tomorrow, message me on Instagram or tag me on X, Facebook, ConcertViz34. I'd love to get some more people on as well. Let me go back to see what's going on in the chat, and we'll run through some quick numbers. I can't remember if I even showed these. But Brad F says best song of the night, Loving Wings. Cliff Burton says, I don't get why fans in Chicago don't make the trip to Alpine. Here's the thing, and I'll tell you about this because simply I've been to last two Alpines. Every time I've went to Alpine, I've been to Chicago to literally go through the city for multiple days, 3-4 days in Chicago. And I've talked to a lot of fans from the Midwest. So you have two types of fans in the Chicago metro and also the surrounding metro. So you have fans from the Deer Creek region of Indiana, that's just Indy Metro. You have people that live in Illinois, all of Illinois, right? From the northern suburbs to the western suburbs. The diehard fans and the fans that live north of Chicago proper, many of them have either been to Alpine or go to Alpine. And so when you have fans that are more diehard and willing to travel and they love Alpine, even if they live in Chicago Metro, they will go to both. Or some people actually will skip Chicago because they'd rather just do Alpine years, even if they live in the Chicago Metro. They'll travel to a Deer Creek, but they won't go to Chicago. And it's because now Aaron gave great perspective. He's saying it's not as bad as I thought, but some fans want just the feeling of being in a traditional amphitheater shed, not off the river. Also, with Northerly Island, when there's bad weather, when there's rain in the forecast, which there was not any rain tonight from what I saw, from what I was talking to people, right behind the scenes. When it rains, that venue, it gets horrible, and you have to walk or run a half a mile, 2 miles to wherever you're parked. So that unpredictable weather off the lake, sometimes it doesn't go in the favor. But the diehard fans will make the trip up to Alpine. But you have a lot of casual fans. You have a lot of people who moved to the city of Chicago, and maybe they don't even have a car. The public transit is amazing in Chicago Metro. Like, you can get, like, when I went to, I stayed in Evanston twice, 2022 and 2024, ahead of Alpine night weeks. Again, told you I stayed 3 or 4 days both times. And you could take the train from O'Hare all the way to the northern suburbs. You could take the train from O'Hare all the way up to Waukegan, Illinois, up towards the Wisconsin border. So for people who live in Chicago proper, they can take a train. Some people, I honestly would take an Uber, because there's like the train there's no train that stops right outside of Northerly Island. I've been right out there, I walked like 7-8 miles one of the days last year in that whole area to explore and kind of do some research. But the trains, you have to walk a half a mile, or take a bus. And in the comments, let me know if I'm a little off. But from what I know, the trains don't drop you off in front of Northerly Island. So some people will Uber, right? It's just one Uber ride, right? But it's easy if you live in the Chicago suburb and you're just a music fan, you're a casual fan, to go up to Alpine, you have to take your car, you have to figure out where to stay. There's not a lot of places to stay like there is in Chicago up in Alpine. You have to stay 15, 20 minutes away. Lake Geneva, maybe you stay towards Wisconsin. There's like one hotel that's within, like, that you can literally be right down the street from Alpine. And so for fans who live in the Chicago suburbs, they're not willing to go up to Wisconsin to see DMB, but they'll see whatever concerts come to Chicago proper. And so a lot of the fans that go to Chicago, they like live music, they like DMB, but they're not diehard fans. But you still have an overlap throughout the entire Midwest of diehard DMB fans who will travel to Alpine. And so ultimately what happens is, I did some data on this a couple years ago. The revenue from Northerly Island is bigger than Alpine, because you have a lot of people that have a convenient drive. They can get a babysitter and then be back home by 11:45, 12 o'clock. But to go to Alpine, it's a longer trek. It's further away. You're in the middle of nowhere, and it's kind of in that gray area of, if I'm tailgating and I'm having a good time, do I want to drive 2 hours down to Illinois or back to northern Indiana from Alpine? The answer is probably no. I need to get a hotel. So, I don't want to pay for the hotel. I don't want to invest in this big trip. I'm just a casual DMB fan, which is fine. There are bands I won't travel to see if they don't come to Hartford, or I won't even travel to Boston and New York for some bands, and I'm 2 hours away. Now, some bands I will, but not every band. So there's just there's a larger population base in the Chicago Metro. It's the biggest city in the Midwest. It is a beautiful city. It is amazing during the summertime. To me, I jog. One of the things I do as a hobby, I jog across scenic and beachside and perfect cities. I like to jog in them. In Chicago proper and Evanston, the lakefront in Evanston, arguably in the summertime in Chicago jogging, it's on the same level as when I jog in Miami Beach in the wintertime when it's 75 degrees. The Tampa Riverwalk, I'll put Chicago's jogging in the summertime up head to head in some very, Cape Town stuff. Like, I'll put it head to head. It's probably one of my favorite places. It's definitely top 2. As far as, like, it's a beautiful city. And there's so much to do in the summertime. In the wintertime, I've never been in the wintertime. I will probably never go to Chicago in the wintertime on purpose. I want to remember Chicago for the summertime. There's so many food options. There's too much food options in Chicago. But it's an easier trip for fans who live in the Chicago metro to just go there. Where Alpine, the reason that Alpine is dying is because they used to get more hippies and more parrot heads. Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. They used to have, when the music culture was, you traveled up to Alpine before Chicago even had like real amphitheaters. It would be a journey, and they would get a lot of people to drive long distances to go up to Alpine. Nowadays, especially some of the younger what the younger kids are listening to, those fan bases are not driving up to Alpine. They would rather see their favorite band at Lollapalooza, or if they come to Northerly Island. As bad as people talk about the venue, and I've never planned a trip, I just prefer to go Alpine years. Right? Fans will go to see their favorite band in Northerly Island or Soldier Field or the United Center, but they won't travel up to Alpine or go up to Wisconsin. And the traffic, when I've driven through Chicago on a Sunday when peak travel return season, right? I've traveled up to Wisconsin. I've driven as far north as Green Bay. And some of you guys, you know this, but I as a tourist, I've done these things just to experience it. And the traffic can get pretty crowded between Chicago proper and the northern suburbs. And then, you could take 41 as an alternative, but logistically, it's a challenge to get up to Wisconsin just for a concert when you could just, hey, I'll just wait for the band next year to come back. So I understand both sides of it. I personally, as someone who can't just travel to the Midwest on a dime every year, especially now that I have a son, my baby boy there, he's about to be 4 months next month. I'm saving my money for Alpine if they do it. I'll see what they do next year, but I'm just kind of keeping that there. And this year I said, no, I'm not traveling that far. I don't want to be that far from my son in these early days. But even if I didn't have a son, I still wouldn't have gone to Chicago, because I just say, listen, I got to prioritize. Anyway, that maybe went on too longer than I expected, but it is an important thing to understand. I know it's a great question why people want to know why. All right, so I want to get some of these stats up. I know I've probably mentioned them a million times. Let me just get everything. Okay. Let me just make sure we got them. I'm going to go over some stats, and we'll look at a shirt. Stats and shirts, we'll call this. Let me just say. All right, so we're going to look at some stats for DMB here. And this is what I'm tracking, a couple of these things here. And this is the weekend poster by Todd Slater. This is phenomenal. I love this. And obviously it's the bull for the Chicago Bulls. Todd does a great job at making posters that to me are unique. Even though he has his style, he makes these things unique enough every time. And I just love how he uses his colors, the way that they're designed. So shout out to Todd Slater. We're going to look at DMB Chicago Night 1. There were 8 songs out of the 20 that were played at this venue for the first time ever. That means if you are one of those Chicago DMB fans who only goes to Chicago shows, and again, I'm not knocking you, because I think for some fans, you like this band, but just enough to travel here. You're not going to make trips elsewhere. You have other hobbies, other bands you like more. And so you have 8 new songs if you only go to Northerly Island shows. And it's probably for fans more than that, because some of these fans, you may have just moved to Chicago and never seen DMB or haven't seen them in 10, 15 years. And, I can just take the bus or Uber or take a train, then Uber to this show, and you're there. 8 songs. Only 2 songs tonight were repeats of anything played for the 2 shows in 2023. This is added value. If you saw those shows, there's only 2 songs that were repeated from last time they did a 2-night stand at this venue. Samurai Cop and Bartender. And I'm pretty sure nobody in this venue is like, oh, that song again? Bartender again? Now, Samurai Cop, it depends. But Bartender being repeated, please repeat Bartender at my home venue every year. Actually, play my home venue of Hartford, right? Right. Well, Mohegan's really now is becoming the home venue because they've been playing it. This is the first time Bartender has closed out the encore of a full band show. Okay. And Loving Wings was played by the full band for the first time since 2015. So these are things that you can say, wow, if I went to this show, this is my first show. Maybe you're watching this post-show stream, you were searching videos and you came amongst my video. These are special things that should be celebrated. And again, I want to try to make it clear that even if you love the hits, you got hits. Maybe you didn't get Ants Marching, right? But you got 41, which is, I guess, technically it wasn't a radio hit per se, but it's a staple of this band. And if sometimes that's the only song people know. And you got So Much to Say, and you got You and Me, and you got Every Day. Those are songs that if you grew up in a certain era, you probably heard one of those songs on the radio. Okay. And so these are stats that to me are just special. This is what this band is doing. They're really, like, Dave is really looking at this, and I feel like, this is my personal opinion. None of this has been confirmed by anyone making the decisions here. But I have a feeling that the passing of the late Ian Coon has inspired Dave to just play certain songs like Baby Blue and play certain songs like Loving Wings in tonight's show, and to be unique and because Ian was somebody who really was there with the songwriting, with the process, not the songwriting, the set list selection, right? Ian was a big part of, okay, Dave writes the set list. If he has questions or he needs inspiration, he would go to Ian. Ian takes that set list and goes to every band member and says, are there any objections? Can you not play? Are you not feeling something? Right? And if there was any revisions or things like that, it's then sent back to Dave. If someone, so-and-so just right now they're feeling something on their wrists or their hands or their lungs and they can't play this song. All right, we're going to edit this back. It goes back to Dave. And then if Dave makes any changes and adjustments, it goes back to everyone. Every band member has to sign off on this set list. And then once it's good to go, it's printed out. They're placed on the stage. The band takes the stage, and that's how the process went. And Ian was a big part of that. And so there's something about, since the passing of Ian, Dave is really doing things that remind him of Ian, like playing Baby Blue, and the stories tied to that. Loving Wings was a request when he was very ill, as he mentioned, in Mexico. And it's just it's bittersweet for sure, because I again, what I do on here is I look at the stats, and I appreciate many of you guys, because listen, I'm bringing this to YouTube and to Instagram because I feel like this stuff needs to be shared. It doesn't have to be intimidating. If you're just learning stuff about this band, maybe you've seen them for 20 years, now you're looking at the data. This stuff is fun to me. This stuff should be celebrated and appreciated, because this band puts a lot of work for a band that doesn't need to do this. Fish has to do this. They have no choice. All their fans will walk off and protest tomorrow. Okay? If they play repeats, they will, right? Fish has to do this. Most jam bands have to be unique. They have to play a different jam every time. DMB does not have to change up these set lists. But at the same time, would I be here talking set lists if DMB played the same show? Would I even be as big of a fan? Probably not. So I appreciate what they do, but I love bringing this stuff out so that if you want to start, it's never too late to just look at this stuff, to analyze. But everything that I'm measuring, this is a great time to be a Dave Matthews Band fan for variety. The catalog is being expanded. We're over 100 songs in 16 shows. 100 unique songs. Guys, we didn't have 100 unique songs in 2016. We did not have 100 unique songs in 2016. It's June. It's not even July yet, and we're already there. I really love where this band is right now. They're having fun on stage. They're taking risks. They're doing things that I've never seen, like a bartender closer full band. And so if you're on the fence about going to any DMB show this year, let tonight be a great example. And the night before tonight, and the night before tonight. Because I'm pulling these different shows. I'm giving you some of the data. Shout out to the Almanac and my friends there. Some of them have helped me to fact check some of this stuff. Some of this stuff, if I did it wrong, it probably was just me. But some of the stuff over these last couple weeks, I've reached out, hey, can y'all just do what I just did just to make sure I did it right? But boy, this is a great time, and there's a great balance. And it's not just about me. It's about everyone. I think a lot of people from a lot of different ways of what you love from this band can be happy. All right, let's go to the next graphic. This is the shirt. This is the Chicago style. And this was, let me just give the credit where credit is due. This was put on Reddit. This is from BDives36. They posted this photo on Reddit. And this is the shirt right here. Let me move this so you guys can see me. And so that blue shirt, number 6, $40 shirt, is a Chicago specific shirt. It says DMB Chicago. Then it says Chicago style. You have some of the food there. A fire dancer in the city. I love how this year we saw it with with the little boat there in Charleston. But I love how the merch has a little bit more pizzazz to it this year. It has a little bit more character of the cities. They're not just throwing a big apple on there and saying New York, right? It's Chicago style. And you got the food. Then the fire dancer pops out. Shout out to whoever was in charge of the merch this year. Give them a raise. I know Dave is a very generous man and pays people well. The whole band, DMB Inc., Dave, Carter, Stefan, the OGs, core members. They take care of this crew. All right. But nonetheless, this is great. This is a step in the right. I think the biggest knock on the merch that the band has done is they just haven't been creative. They know they're going to sell a lot of merch anyway, and we still buy it. But I like to see these strides, especially this late in this band's career, to still have stuff. And you see the blanket on the next to the shirt, and to see how that has the nice little the food there. And so kudos to them. But I really love what the shirts have been like. Charleston and now Chicago. You'll probably get one at Deer Creek. You'll probably get one at SPAC, and you'll probably get one at Camden and the Gorge. Those are my guesses for the next ones. Just those are just my guesses. Those are like the big weekends, big 2-night stands. So there you have that. All right. That's it. I'm going to go to bed. I ran out of time trying to take a nap today, but this is great. I'm so happy. And you guys know me. I've given my thoughts and opinions on this band. I have not shied away, but I just think seeing what this band has done, not necessarily, I'm thinking less about what I want personally, and I'm thinking about the variety they're giving every night. And it's noticed. If you guys are watching, I don't even know if y'all watch, right? I don't know if the rest of the band watches these. I know Buddy does. Shout out to Buddy. He's seen some of my videos, right? He's reached out. But if you guys are watching, as somebody who's been a big critic of you guys, as far as the set list and show flow, this looks phenomenal. And so I'm happy. And I think these sets have the highest probability of making fans happy from all walks of the fan base. I think that's a hard task. As much as I say, oh, I want this, I don't want that. No, Jimmy, no this, right? No Bayou, right? As much as I say all that stuff, I know that the crowd reacts in certain ways. I respect the fact that the band on Alpharetta played Captain and Spoon, because you know what? People don't really care about Captain at a show. If you take 100 people from a show, there's probably 10 to 15 people that really appreciate Captain. The rest of the crowd may not. But you know what? Those 10 to 15 people that appreciate Captain, those are people who go to a lot of shows. And if they didn't go to shows, you would have an extra 200, 300 tickets sometimes for a destination venue 2-night stand, because those people who travel just decide all not to go from various parts of the country. It's a domino effect. And so doing things like giving that hardcore fan a Captain, even though the crowd's going to be quiet, some people were actually talking, depending on where you were in Alpharetta. I've heard mixed reports. Some people, they're chomping. Other people, they were dead quiet. And it's better for it to be dead quiet. I rather, because you can hear the song. But this band, to be able to still play those songs, and maybe you don't get the crowd response, but they can see one or two fans going nuts. That's special. As much as I say, I want this band to do this, this, and that. Again, I can't say enough about this is balance. And for what this band has been through, how they had to restart in 2018 to present, I'm excited. And it's not even I can't wait till SPAC. It's not that. It's not that I can't wait till, I can wait till SPAC. But it's more, this show was great, and I'm excited to see what they do tomorrow. Because who knows what sort of things they're going to pull out if this is the way they're going. Let's see a couple other chats. Richard says, where am I sitting? SPAC. I'm like in the mid, I think I'm in the mid pavilion, somewhere by the soundboard, I think, for the night one. I think I got to check night two. Cliff Burton says, but 10 years ago, it seems a lot more fans from Chicago traveled to Alpine. Seems many of them quit making the trek to Alpine Valley. This is true, and I think it's for a couple of reasons. One, the band's prices have gone up. Cost of hotels and travel has gone up. Number two, if I'm really honest, and I've defended the band to let them just cook what they have now, and we're not changing Dave's mind, you don't have a violin. In 2018, when this band had to really restart without that critical instrument, they lost fans. You also have fans who are getting older, and they have families. And some of them, like, I just think there's a lot of factors to why Alpine, Hartford and Alpine, Deer Creek needs this, but Deer Creek has an unlimited supply of fans, in my opinion, from traveling out there in 2022 and talking to fans from across the country, who you find people who go to Deer Creek every year, no matter where you are in the country, at a D&B show. But Alpine and Hartford, in their heyday, even just 15 years ago, they had tons of fans, but those lawns are massive. Most venues, you can fill up a pavilion fairly well. And Alpine has a big pavilion as well. But Alpine's lawn, even with some of the buildings they've built there to take up, to reduce capacity, and Hartford's lawn, they've had to continually find new fans to replace old fans for the last 20 years. Some fans have aged out or matured out of the tailgate and all that type of scene. A lot of people, let's be honest, I know in Hartford, a lot of people was there for the girls. They was trying to holler at some girls who like Dave, and they grow up and they move on and they don't go to Dave shows anymore. And so there's been to me, what I've observed from talking and interviewing, talking to people behind the scenes, and then going to shows in Hartford, seeing attendance numbers, it's harder to get people to travel up for various reasons, but the replacement of lawn fans is hard in Hartford and in Alpine, because you can get the pavilion filled up for both of those venues, but can you get 30,000? Can you get 20,000 people on that lawn? And you're paying $60+ not $20 or less. The back in the day, are you going to get them to pay $60 to be on that lawn, in the back of that lawn, in a crowded lawn? You may be able to get 5,000, 10,000, but can you get 20,000? That's the challenge with Alpine. That's the challenge with Hartford, and venues like, there's not many venues out there like that, but those lawns are massive. You could hold the Hartford lawn and Alpine lawn. They could hold the United Center's entire United Center capacity can fit in the Hartford lawn and Alpine lawn. Think about that. Bands like Fish are about to play the United Center. The whole lawn in Alpine, you could have enough room for all those people to exit out of the United Center, drive up to Alpine, and then fill up that lawn. So it's tough. That's what makes it tough. The backs of the pavilions, where there's higher price seats at the back than there were back in the day, and the lawn are the hardest two things for Alpine. And then people have to commit to traveling there. And so you do have a lot of diehard fans who go out there every year from across the country. Listen, I've been the last two Alpines. But do you have 20,000? Like, how many of those people are on the lawn? Because I'm not flying that far just to be on the lawn. I'm sorry. For the Gorge, I will. But for Alpine and Deer Creek, I would do that as well. But for Alpine, if I'm gonna fly out there, pay for hotels, listen, I'm getting pavilion seats. It doesn't even have to be in the front, but I'm getting seats. I'm enjoying that show because I just flew halfway across the country. I digress, though. Great conversations. We're gonna end this thing again. If you don't know, Ian Kuhn was the monitor engineer for Dave Matthews Band. He controlled, just as I can hear myself and hear audio right here. And I have a little Focusrite set up here that I can change my audio, change the settings. Ian controlled what the band heard in their in-ear monitors. Not these headphones. They have in-ear monitors very tight in their ear. Almost like these. These are not IEMs. These are just Beats, right? My Beats headphone. My Beats right there. So they go right in their ear. Ian was big on controlling that sound so that they can hear themselves perfectly in the best mix of everything they needed to hear to play a great show. And so he passed away in February. And so that passing was tough. He's been with the band since the mid-90s. So Dave, when Ian was in his last weeks of living, fighting the courageous fight against cancer, Dave played Love and Wings at the Gorge. And this is the video. You can watch the full DMB Night 2, Mexico Night 2 video on my YouTube channel. Just go under videos and then scroll down a bit and you'll find it. Mexico Night 2. But I want to play that to close out. Rest in peace to Ian Coon. If any of his family is at this show or just thinking about this, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry for your loss. And your friend, your pal, you probably already know this, Ian impacted the lives of people I know. While I didn't know him personally, there are people in this fan base that personally developed relationships, friendships with Ian. And even when last week, when Dave mentioned the late Ian Coon, there were fans I know from the D&B Fit crew from other places that tears were falling down their eyes in Charleston. It was not the humidity. There were tears of joy and of just remembrance of Ian. So rest in peace to Ian. We'll close out. We'll end this show. Thank you guys for sticking through. We're almost at 90 minutes, but what a show, guys. What a show. A fantastic show. And I'm hoping the momentum continues through to Chicago night 2. It's your boy Conserviz 34. Peace.
I'm going to send this to my friend Ian Coon, who can't be here right now. But he would be, if he could be. Was made of broken bones, my soul a bag of stick and stone, and you along this dusty road have come, my love, to take me home. So I give to you my everything. You've given me these loving wings, and angels have all gathered round to hear me sing my love out loud. Oh, 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 oh. You lightly lifted me away out of the darkness cold and gray. I work beneath the midday sun, my cool blue water you have come. So I give to you my everything. You've given me these loving wings, and angels have all gathered round to hear me sing my love out loud. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 well, so take your place here next to me, and I'll take my place there next to thee. And no matter how far we may roam, it's by your side I'll call my home. I give to you my everything. You've given me these loving wings, and angels have all gathered round to hear me sing